Hey guys, I wanted to record a real quick video to get you started with this CTF exercise, the client side CTF. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to first show you what the service is, where it's running, and then I'm going to show you one of the vulnerabilities that you could document that goes towards your needing to document that one vulnerability. And then I also wanted to show you where you can find the user.txt and root.txt flags. And then I also want to give you a quick walkthrough of a couple of the tools that are on the desktop to make your search for vulnerabilities and exploitation of those vulnerabilities a little bit easier. So first we've got the service running here, vulnerable service, and I am logged into the CTF machine as the user named standard, which is the administrative user on this machine. So when I go to vulnerable service, I right click and go to properties. You'll notice that it's named vulnerable service and the display name is vulnerable service. The path to the executable is C, program files x86, vulnerable service, and then vulnerable service exe. What you'll also notice is there are no quotes around this service path. So what that means is that it's exploitable due to a vulnerability called unquoted service path vulnerabilities. Now, what you can do is go to your search engine of choice and look up what an unquoted service path vulnerability in Windows means and how it would be exploited. And you can use this for your documentation of one of the vulnerabilities, or you can find any of the other vulnerabilities that are built into this machine. So this is, again, an unquoted service path in Windows vulnerability. And then as far as the flags, so you're required to find the user.txt and root.txt flags. Those are in the documents folder of the corresponding user. So this is Windows. So root is not a user in Windows traditionally, but it is the highest privileged user in Unix and Linux systems. And so we just went with the root.txt naming convention and user.txt naming convention. So those two files are there. They have a flag inside of them. You need to submit that flag as part of your write-up. Now, to give you a real quick walkthrough of some of the tools that are on the desktop here, we have a tool called Process Monitor. And what that does is Process Monitor, or Procmon for short, will allow you to profile a service or another running executable and see what that executable is doing. So we're going to open Procmon up. You'll notice it should already be trying to profile the vulnerable service executable. So you can click OK. And what this is going to do is it's going to say, okay, what is this vulnerable service doing, and how, and what types of things is it doing when it's running, right? And then you can take this data right here and you can look for ways to exploit these vulnerabilities. So this should give you a good starting point to go on with Procmon. It'll show you what the service is trying to do, where some things might be failing or where some things might be succeeding. And if you notice things that are failing, look into why is that failing and is there a way I can exploit that? And that should give you a good head start there. Now, there's also something called Code Reflect on the desktop in this Dev Extras Code Reflect folder. What Code Reflect is it's a free reverse engineering tool to reverse engineer .NET binaries. And this service is a C# binary. So if you open Code Reflect, you can open up that vulnerable service exe, either from where it's running on disk, or I have a service backup folder, just in case something gets messed up. And I also recommend that you take a snapshot before you start trying to exploit this service. Just in case something goes wrong, then you can just restore the snapshot and everything should be okay. So you can open those up in Code Reflect, and Code Reflect will show you what the code is and what it's trying to do. So there's two different tools you can use to try to identify vulnerabilities in the service, and then you can also document the one unquoted service path vulnerability that I gave you. Good luck and happy hacking.